Hey everyone, welcome back to this Adobe and Behance live stream. Today, I'll be your host, Fabiola Lara. Today on the stream, we're joined by the talented graphic designer and lettering artist, Alanna Flowers. We're so excited to have you here today, Alanna. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Fabiola. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you are here with me being my host, and I'm just super happy to be back on Adobe Live. Yeah.
This is going to be incredible. I can't wait to watch what you make.
Oh, yay.
Today, Alanna is going to be showing us her process for designing custom cards using Adobe Fresco. So stick around to learn all of her Fresco tips and tricks. But before we jump into her workflow, if you missed the show before ours, be sure to check out the replays. Plus, check out the newest addition to the Adobe Live lineup, our Creative Cloud Express streams, where you can check out how to navigate the easy-to-use app. This week, the hosts will be covering creating content for Valentine's Day at 8:30 a.m. Pacific. Also, go ahead and check out the first week of Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge with Sam Peterson every weekday at 9 a.m. Pacific. Tune in and challenge yourself with a new prompt each day so you can keep your skills sharp. Now, if you're joining us from YouTube, go ahead and jump over to Behance by heading to behance.net/Adobe Live. You'll get the most interactive experience on Behance, so come hang out with us while we learn some pro tips from Alanna. And remember, you can watch the live streams even when we're offline, so bookmark this page so you can come back to it and never miss out on these valuable Adobe tips. All right, Alanna, why don't you start this off by introducing yourself and telling us what you're up to today?
Yeah, totally. So if you don't know, my name's Alanna Flowers. I'm a freelance lettering artist, designer, illustrator. I wear many hats, but I also am going to be showing you guys like my process for creating greeting cards. So when I'm not lettering, I like to share my process on YouTube and teach people like how I do what I do. So I love being able to join on Adobe live streams to share with you guys like in real time my whole process. So I've got my Behance open right now, and I actually wanted to zoom in on one project in particular because it's actually going to really contextualize what we're going to be looking at today and tomorrow.
Ooh,
so
I can't wait to see.
Yeah, so if we hop in to this Electric Love card design. So this was a Valentine's Day card that I designed sometime last year.
It's so bright. I love it.
Thank you. I was really trying to get my art licensing portfolio together and to like, get my designs out there to companies for their cards. And it like became this whole process of like creating like the line work and then animating it ultimately. So I break down my whole process. I started in Fresco and then I went to Illustrator to like vectorize it. And then like I go through the whole process of like adding effects. This is like a little bit more advanced than what we'll be seeing today and tomorrow, but we'll definitely be incorporating the lettering portion and breaking that process down. We'll also be looking at, like how to get your composition together and, what that looks like. And then tomorrow, we're going to be getting into like some animation motion features that Fresco has. So I'm really excited to sort of combine like the still card with the e-card sort of idea.
Yes, you're showing us so much. I absolutely love how you have this all displayed on your site, showing us the process. And I feel like I'm even more excited now to see what you create and see that whole process now that I have like a little taste of everything that goes into one of your pieces. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm really excited to show you guys and just like sort of also incorporate some of you guys' feedback because I'm always, looking for feedback from other creatives and creators when I'm like sort of stuck maybe in a spot. So we'll be hanging out together for a little bit today.
And if anyone has any questions while you're creating this, it's the perfect time to drop your questions in the chat over at behance.net/Adobe Live. You can drop your questions in the chat, and then we'll make sure to ask Alanna while she's working. So don't forget to chat with us. You know, this is a two-way conversation here. Or three-way, right? Because it's all of us here, right? You, me, them.
Yeah, right. We're a whole unit. It's great.
Yeah. This is a whole crew here. We're ready to watch Alanna work and ask her all the juicy questions about Adobe Fresco.
Awesome. All right. I mean, that was my spiel. If we're ready, I'm ready to jump into Fresco and get started.
Let's go for it. Let's get to work, baby.
Let's take a look.
Hey, Elsa in the chat. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Elsa.
Yes, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today.
Same to you, Nushka. Can't wait to see what Alanna makes. We're all very excited.
I'm so excited too. Okay, so this document I already had like ready to go, but just for everyone's information, this is a 5x7 document, 5x7 inch, because that's just like standard greeting card size here in the States. So that's just what I've got set up. And then I've got hidden in a special little group here, just 3 little boxes that are proportionally scaled for my composition, so that when I start my little thumbnail sketches, they'll already kind of be set in a way that makes sense for when I
you're working within the correct ratio.
Exactly. So we are going to be doing a Valentine's Day card design today, since it's coming up soon.
Yes.
And I thought it would be really fun to do kind of like a more general Valentine's Day idea, where it's like you don't have to be coupled. Like this would be a great card to like give to your friends or like a family member or whatever. So it's
general love. We want to celebrate that too.
Exactly. Everyone can be included. So I just came up with the phrase, and maybe it's not super original, but the phrase that we're going to be lettering today is, I really like having you around.
Oh, I like that.
It's just like super basic, but I was just like, I kind of like to create cards that are like funny and like kind of quirky a little bit. I think maybe you may have caught on to that from my little, Our Love is Electric. So,
but I feel like people don't say it enough, right? Like even though it might seem simple, people don't say it enough. I would love to hear that from someone.
Yeah. It's just like, especially since spending time together is so important, especially nowadays. Yes. So it's like, oh, okay, look at me going too fast. Okay. I always start with lettering, like just writing out my phrase at the very top of my page. So I don't like
to serve as like a reminder and inspo.
Exactly. Just a reminder. So I don't,
you don't forget a word.
Exactly. I don't miss any words. I don't misspell, because it'll happen. It happens to all the great lettering artists. It's totally fine.
There you go. That's the first tip from Alanna.
Yeah, right.
Write it out. Have it in front of you so you don't miss a word, because I could see that happening so easily. And then it's like a beautiful composition and you forgot a whole word. Has that happened to you before?
Unfortunately, yes.
That hurts. That hurts my soul.
Definitely. I'm just like, geez Louise, I can't believe I missed out on a whole word. And exactly like you said, it's like, it ruins the whole composition, because it's like, wow, I had this on lock. And then it's just like, oops, no, I don't. It kind of fell apart. So I'm just using these 3 little sections to just start like doing some really basic, not fancy at all thumbnail sketches, just to get my compositional ideas out and just sort of, get those out of my system and then start evaluating. So
do you have some like go-to composition types? Like I can see you for that arch.
Yeah, right. I really like trying to think about, I guess, the words themselves. If you can use like different kinds of like shapes and forms, that's always fun. Like someone could very well letter this whole phrase into like the shape of a heart if they wanted to, or something like that. You can pretty much push the boundaries as far as you want. But I think I definitely like to mix styles. I'm definitely a very, I think I lean towards cursive and like script styles a lot too as well.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I've seen your work on your site. It's so beautiful how you incorporate that. Like you'll have like script, and then you'll have serif, and then you'll have sans serif all like together, and you make it like blend, like you make it come together so seamlessly. I
oh,
can't wait to see you do it live right now.
oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm just like, I really like, I don't know, just like experimenting and just sort of throwing ideas at the wall and seeing what happens. But yeah, it's like, I think when I think of putting together like the composition and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like sort of exercising the part of the creative brain, I think, that sort of automatically leans just like problem solving and like sort of
Yes.
like decoding puzzles almost. So
Yeah, because you have to make it all fit together very nicely,
exactly.
harmoniously.
Exactly.
Do you tend to start with a pencil sketch, or do you go straight to digital usually when you work
Oh, that's a good
on these?
question. If I'm doing, I'm really, I think, locked into my all digital workflow these days just because it's so
It's so
efficient.
convenient.
It's
Yes.
convenient, it's efficient, and I'm just like, I feel pretty comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes if I'm like out and I didn't, bring my iPad with me, maybe I'll just have like a little mini sketchbook with me that I'll, scribble something down in really
Gotcha.
quickly. Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's a question, a quick little poll for the chat while Alanna gets these sketches ready is, do you prefer to start with a pencil sketch or go straight to digital? You can drop a little pencil emoji in the chat for pencil, or a little mouse emoji or computer emoji if you like to start digitally straight from the start, like a seasoned pro like Alanna does at this point.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, because I'm all digital, but like I so miss working analog a lot of the time too. So
Sometimes it can be inspiring, but sometimes it can be a bit like distracting because you know what your vision is, and you can achieve that on Fresco so easily at this point, I'm sure.
yeah, it's really become my go-to program. I'd say it's just so versatile and like you can just have a lot of fun with it. So
Ooh, I like seeing this what's happening right now, this cursive, this script. Sorry.
oh yeah, no, it's
um,
fine. Yeah,
we
we're
have
like
a question here from Karina. Do you
yeah.
use the grid builder for lettering at all?
Oh, that's very interesting. I have in the past, but I find myself just sort of putting together my own grids, but it's definitely a good resource if you are looking to have a little bit more help on like fitting your letters and your phrases
Mm-hmm.
just so. So definitely see the uses and the help of using that kind of grid builder tool.
Yes, maybe when you're first starting out and you're getting a little bit more comfortable laying it out and understanding the spacing between all of the words that you have, I could see that being really useful.
Yeah, and just also like I think tools like that also just sort of add to your efficiency. Like sometimes we're
Yes.
not always creating for ourselves. Sometimes you have a deadline, just like, okay, like I can do it a lot faster if I use like a grid builder tool or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see the uses in that and where that would be advantageous. So
Oh,
yeah.
I like what's happening here. What is that called? That loop, the pretty loop that you have
Oh
there. Is there
yeah.
a term for that?
Yeah. I'm like flourishing.
There you
this
go.
this the top of the stem of that G. Yeah, because I'm just like when I think of flourishing is like one of those things that it's like you just have to keep doing it to get better at it, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
I use it sort of as it looks very aesthetically pleasing. It's very nice when it's
Yes.
nicely spaced and it fits well, but also it solves a lot of composition issues because like that just filled in a lot of negative space right
That's
there.
true. I can see the aesthetic and the like design advantage of that.
Yeah, just like people are just like, oh my gosh, you use so many flourishes. I'm just like, and it's because it plugs
Yes.
these little holes nicely. So it's like it's form and function all in one. So it's good.
I love that. And I definitely see what you say. I feel like if I were to try that, it would be like, it would feel very awkward for me at first, but I'm sure with time you can understand better like where flourishes naturally tend to go. You know, that looks quote unquote natural.
Oh yeah, I'm just like, and it's fine also because it's like this is like the very beginning. We're just getting like those feelings out, and just sort of seeing where things like sort of look okay and maybe look a little awkward, where we can improve things. And it's like, I'll do these thumbnail sketches. Well, I'll probably ask you and you guys in the chat to help me decide which one to go forward with.
Yes.
What usually ends up happening, well, sometimes depending, is that I'll end up changing my mind about one thing or another. At some point in the piece, it might develop and might go in a different direction. So it's like, this is just to give yourself a nice starting place, but don't feel super tied down. It's like, oh my God, I have to keep the 100% integrity of this exact little sketch that I did.
Right. No, you can move it around. You're the artist. At the end of the day, it's your design. You can change it.
Exactly. 100%.
No one will see the sketch unless you put it on your website beautifully, like you have.
Unless you reveal all of your secrets.
Exactly.
It's made, but no, it's super cool, and I love seeing other artists' thumbnail sketches, because it's like everyone, you see the finished product, but when you see those really scrappy, sort of like funky looking thumbnail sketches, it really, I don't know, it puts like that human element back into it.
Yes, it makes you feel like, oh, it's possible. Everyone starts with an ugly sketch, exactly. Not just me.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, it looks like a lot of people in the chat are saying that they use both pencil and digital from the start a lot of times. So that's interesting. I like to see that everyone is using all sorts of media to get started.
That is very interesting. Yeah, it's just like as much as I use digital, I think there will always be a place in my heart for for analog creation, because quite frankly, I've had my iPad, for a few years, but before that, I just used my sketchbook, and that was fine too.
Yeah, it's what you use when you're a kid. So
exactly, right?
I mean, now there's iPad kids, but still.
Oh my gosh, you're
still. Yeah, we'll go with pencil as the original. Amazing. I can't wait to see. You have so many, like, these compositions are so varied. It's inspiring.
Yeah, I'm trying to I'm trying to go for a little bit of variety. Sometimes I'll end up unknowingly or not noticing that I'm kind of creating the same composition over and over again.
Yeah.
Or they're just slightly tweaked. So I'm really trying to push myself a little bit and make sure that these are as varied as possible, which will also help everyone in the chat help us select one of these.
We have a question here from Michael asking, what about if you ever use a tablet like Wacom?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, way back when, Wacom was actually the first kind of tablet that I had. I don't remember the model, but that was actually my first drawing tablet, I guess. I used it when I was using Adobe Illustrator to plot my points and do vectorized lettering. So yeah, actually, I totally forgot that technically the Wacom tablet was my first drawing tablet.
Wow, there we go, guys. There's your answer.
Yeah, you're tapping
now it seems like you've become a natural with the iPad and Fresco, though. Would you say that's your preferred method?
Definitely. I think even when I had the Wacom for a while, I felt a disconnect just because it wasn't the kind that had a screen on it. So it was my pen was here, my tablet was here, but I was looking up there, and I just felt kind of a disconnect between what my hand was doing and what I was seeing on the screen. So I like that the iPad integrates both of those experiences.
It can feel a bit unnatural. I totally get what you mean. I started on a Wacom as well.
Yeah, as I'm just okay. But
I every time you do the script, my heart flutters. I get so excited about it.
You're so funny. Yeah, I really, geez Louise, I love script style lettering so much. I actually took a whole script lettering workshop course last year, and I was in heaven.
Yes, I bet there's just so much to know. And it looks so effortless when I see it done. And then the minute you go to attempt it, you're oh wait, you have to actually think a lot about where these go.
Yeah, right. It's just there's so much going on. Exactly. It's just wow. So I kind of integrated two of these ideas maybe in this bottom one a little bit, a little bit
of what we saw I see that
from the second one. Kind of trying the lettering on an angle instead of just straight up and down. which kind of also adds a little bit, makes it a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interesting.
Yes.
Sort of the letters straight up.
we have a question here.
Oh yeah.
How many thumbnails do you typically do before finding the one?
Oh, that's a really good question. Sometimes it takes as much as like 9 to 15, and sometimes it's like, maybe it's like a 3-word phrase and it's pretty like easy to configure like the stacks and how those can work together. So I think it really depends on the complexity of the phrase that I'm lettering, but I'd say anywhere between like 6 and 12, I guess, is pretty standard.
I like that
for me.
I feel like that answer makes me feel relieved. Like, okay, I have 9 to 12 tries to get it right, as opposed to just one. Like even Alanna, who's been doing this for a while, she's still doing 9 to 12 thumbnails to get it just right. So that's reassuring, I think.
Oh no, totally. It's just like, I'm definitely not gonna be anywhere near like, oh yes, it's completely perfect. And like I said, I'm like, sometimes I switch, like I change my mind. So like, that's maybe I'll find something from like thumbnail 3 that I really liked. So I'll like sort of integrate it in some way. So it's like, it gives you almost like a buffet menu of like ideas to choose from, that you can revisit if you need to, or if you want to. So
yes. Do you usually like, how do you find the inspiration for your writing? I mean, I imagine when it's client assigned, they tell you exactly what they want, but what about for your personal work? Where do you find these inspirational quotes?
Oh, like for the phrases themselves?
Yes, the phrases themselves.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's just like that's something that I think I would do just like in a physical sketchbook, just like writing out. It's like, okay, this is the theme. I'm trying to think of cards for fall or for Christmas or something. And I'll just literally just write out 20 or so phrases. Yeah. And just see what seems right or sounds interesting or something like that. But that's definitely it becomes a long list that's themed and stuff like that. So
I bet you have a huge running list of phrases to get to.
No, definitely.
That's amazing. Yeah. I feel like you have to live your life like in moments, coming up with phrases and just like jotting them down in your phone or something.
Exactly. No, it's so true. I have like a whole like a notes app.
Yeah.
Exactly for it. That are just like writing themes, just like, okay, that would be a good card phrase or something. And just, being weird with it, but definitely like in the moment, like, okay, I have this idea now, I need to write it down and make sure I don't lose it.
Yes, that always happens, right? You're like, oh, this phrase is so good, I'm never going to forget it. This idea is so good, I'm never going to forget it. And then you immediately forget it, and it haunts you.
Every single time.
Write it down. The lesson is write it down.
Yes, write it down. You might think it's weird at the time. It doesn't matter. Write it down.
Yes. We have a question here from Laura. If unless you're done here with the thumbnails.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what's up?
The question is, when did you start your creative journey?
Oh, that's a really great question. Yeah, that's so deep. I think I would date it back to like my being a yearbook nerd, self-proclaimed.
Yes. Yearbook nerds unite.
Yeah, I started using the Adobe programs when I started yearbook, and then I became editor-in-chief of my high school yearbook, and I was just like, oh, this could be something called graphic design, I guess. And I love that. So I think that's where it began, and then I went to school for graphic design, and then rest.
I love that. I feel like the yearbook to graphic design pipeline is thriving, and it's direct, and it's like a one-way ticket to graphic design.
I'm telling you, I've met so many people online, like on Twitter and Instagram. They're just like, oh yeah, like I was on the high school yearbook, and they're all like designers or artists or something. I'm just like
writers. It goes one way or the other. Like exactly. I was a writer, or now I'm a designer. I love that.
Yeah, Ryan was like, geez, you guys have a lock on the industry.
It's so very true. All right, what do we have going on here, Alanna? Where are we at?
Okay, so I numbered the thumbnail so it's easier for people to vote.
Yes.
So I'm pretty much, I think, done doing my little tinkering with these.
These are amazing, by the way. Like these sketches look so good, and they're like actually legible, which is something that surprises me, because I feel like whenever my sketches look like horrendous. So Okay, so is it time to vote? You think,
Yeah,
Alanna?
let's start voting and see what
Let's
people
take it to
say.
the chat, people. Go ahead and vote 1, 2, or 3 on your favorite design. Right now, I'm gonna start. What's it called?
Oh,
Is it lobbying for one? Is the word? I'm gonna start vouching
funny.
for one design. I
Okay.
think I'm liking design 2 the most because of the flourishes,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure. I mean, where's your head at? Where's your heart telling you to go? Because this is a Valentine's Day design after all.
True. I'm really leaning towards 2 as well, probably for the same reason, because it's just like so fun doing
Yes.
the swatches and flourishes. So I'm just like, yeah, let's get like a little fun. But I'm very interested to hear what everyone
Yes,
else
it
thinks.
seems like 2 is pretty popular from what I'm seeing, but we're still waiting for some of those votes to
Okay.
come in. But yeah, I just think that the having you around really stands out in that one, and that's kind of
Okay.
like the meat of the message to me, right?
Okay.
So
No, that's super great. That to hear you say that, because it's just like, okay, that's a good sign that the design just seems to be communicating effectively, which is
I think so.
a great part of this phase, that you can just like, it's tiny. I'm not committed yet. Like I can figure this out and see, even at this stage, if it's kind of working or not working. So
Yes. Yeah, I'm loving it. And I feel like just the variety, like you said that your goal here was to come up with 3 designs that had a lot of variety, and I think you've totally achieved it. And that's like stunning to me that in since we started this, you were able to like nail that. Like you're such a pro to be able to go ahead and do that, cuz I feel like in my head I would have come up with 3 that were like 10% different every time. And I feel like these are like a full 50% different. So props to you. Props to you.
no, I mean, honestly, between me, you, and all of the people watching right now and everyone in the
Yes.
chat, I've had this phrase in my head for like a while, but I just couldn't figure out the composition for. I'm just like, I've tried to think for like the longest time. So hopefully the
We'll
goal is,
see who reigns supreme. I
yeah.
feel like I'm seeing a lot of now I feel like I'm seeing a lot of 1 and a lot of 3. So this is really I think a toss up.
Oh my
Um
goodness.
it's just people are passionate, and I have to say right here right now, if we pick a design that you didn't vote for, I do hope you'll stay and watch, because it's still going to be amazing. And remember, tune in on behance.net/Adobe Live to continue voicing your opinions on these wonderful designs.
No, it's true. If you're not over at Behance, you're not going to be able to vote and
You're
get
not
your
going to be able to
heard.
vote. All
So
right. So I feel like, in my opinion, 2 is winning. Some could argue otherwise,
okay.
but I don't know. What do you think, Alanna? It's ultimately your call as the designer. Which one would you enjoy creating the most today?
I think it'd be really fun to see 2 come around, honestly.
Victory! Victory for 2. Team 2.
Okay.
Team 2.
Awesome.
Team 2 won.
Yay. Okay, wonderful. Okay, well, I would just like to express my deepest thanks to everyone who took some time to vote in the chat, because
Thank
I don't
you everyone
usually
for voting. If you're team 2, drop some confetti
yeah, right?
emojis so we
Yeah.
know that you're excited about seeing this come to life, because I can't even believe she brought us 3 incredible thumbnails and now we get to pick the one that we want. What an honor to be on this journey with you, Alanna.
Oh my gosh, the pleasure and honor is all mine. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so we're just gonna move right along then, because
Let's do it.
we got places to go and things to see. So I'm actually just gonna start by hiding some of these layers. So I'm just gonna toggle this little eyeball icon and also toggle this one off. And then I'm going to tap the lasso tool and just cut around this guy and cut him out, because he's coming with us.
Because he's moving on to bigger and better layers.
Exactly right. Like everything that I do is just like another layer and another.
Yes, he's like, there are greener layers for this.
I am not shy at all about using layers. You guys will see everything. I'm just going to have a lot of layers. It's going to be a thing, but it helps
be juicy,
organized. So I'm just going to start scaling this up a little bit and see kind of where I feel
Because again, as a little reminder for people, this is the canvas size is already the perfect size for greeting cards. Am I right?
Yeah, so
Perfect.
we don't have to worry about like the scale being off and everything. Like we're already there. So
look at that. It worked just as planned. Shocking.
Exactly. It's just like, it's great when you can have like a little bit of a plan, we can have a little bit of a game plan and a process. And with anything, I guess any kind of process, you just repetition.
Yes, that worked out nicely. If you're just joining us now, Alanna is working on a hand lettering project using Adobe Fresco. She is turning this incredible thumbnail into a full Valentine's Day card using Adobe Fresco. So come on and watch and hang out with us over on behance.net/Adobe Live. You can comment in the chat there and we can get, interactive here. That way, you're not just watching, you're joining in with us.
Yes, please join us. We have so much fun. I love hanging out with you guys.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I'm like, it's cool. I love, like, even when I'm not on Adobe Live, just tuning in because I don't get that kind of feedback usually because I work by myself. So it feels a little.
I know.
Feedback.
I know. If you're a freelancer working alone right now from home, go. Even if you're not freelance, all right, you can drop in the chat that you work alone all the time. We'll pat your back. We're here with you today. Yeah. You don't have to be alone.
Yeah, work from homers unite.
Yes. Could you remind us the size of this card? There are some questions here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. This is just a standard 5-inch by 7-inch greeting card design. That's just like the standard. But
yes, yeah. Perfect.
So I was just doing a little bit of tinkering. This is going to change. Obviously, this is still our very rough sketch. So I'm pretty set with like where this is positioned on the card and on the document. So I'm going to go forward and drop the opacity down on this layer actually, because I'm going to start building my guides on top of this.
So I can't wait to see this.
So this is like essential to like my process because I can tell myself that something is straight, but if I don't like actually have my guidelines and everything, I won't know. So first I'm actually going to turn my grid on. So I just like tap this little precision panel and I'm just going to toggle the grid on, and you might be able to see like the lines come up.
Yes. If you make them a little darker, we can see them.
Okay, perfect. So that helps me like have extra reassurance where straight up and down is. And then I'm just going to go to the corner here and hold for my drawing aids. And I'm going to tap on that ruler and just.
This is blowing my mind. You're blowing my mind. I've never used this in Adobe Fresco before.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Wait, so that was at the bottom right-hand corner, the drawing aids?
Exactly. So it's like kind of hidden in the corner, but these drawing aids are amazing. So yeah, you just press and hold and you have access to like square, circle, polygon.
This is a huge pro tip. I feel like this is mind-blowing. This is next level stuff. I did not know this was hidden in here. And this is going to be so handy. I can already see it, right?
So useful. It's great. It's like if you ever need like a perfect circle, like it's okay, like Fresco knows this, like you're not going to be able to draw a perfect circle. I've got it.
Yeah, we've let that go.
Yeah, right.
The dreams of a perfect circle a la SpongeBob, we've let that go. We can use Adobe Fresco's drawing guides now.
Exactly. So I'm just going to be using the ruler and I'm just going to make a line for my baseline and then just scooch this up a little bit. Maybe I'll make it the exact width of the ruler or the height of the ruler, and the top line there. And there I have a starting guide for that top
perfect line. And now you'll use this as just kind of like the main guide for that. Oh, exactly. For the whole piece, you're just going to keep carrying that through.
Yeah, I'm going to see, I definitely I really, and then like you will definitely be the same height.
Mm-hmm.
And probably like have the same look and feel like once we go further into the process, and then having an around, since those are like the standouts in the script styles, those will probably be treated in a similar way.
Got it.
In terms of like styling and also like their size. So
makes sense.
So
we're watching a master at work here, everyone. If you have any questions about this process, go ahead and drop them in the chat over at behance.net/Adobe Live. We'll answer your questions while she works, which is incredible.
Yeah, I'm like super pumped. I love sharing any kind of fresco tips along the way, because I'm like kind of
yes.
obsessed.
We have a little question here from Christina. How many hours or time did you spend in Adobe Fresco to get a good handle on the program?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Yeah. I would say like a solid like month, like just using Adobe Fresco, because I'm definitely because like so many different updates have been happening and so many different programs have been coming out. I've been trying to learn as much as I can and just sort of like expand my my creative variety, I guess, in terms of the tools that I've been able to use. So I would say like, okay, I want to focus in on Fresco. I'm going to make that my main program so I can like master it, I guess.
Yes.
As comfortable as possible with it. So I said it took me like a solid month. Before.
And now I feel like you're extremely proficient, because what's happening right now feels like magic. And it's all on the iPad. For those tuning in just now, this is all on the iPad on Adobe Fresco, and she's managing to get all of this gridded out.
Yeah, so I've got all of my baseline, and my cap line for everything, but then I just need one more set of guides. I'm going to be using the ruler again, just to establish an angle line for my script lettering. So and this is also part of the refinement process, right? So it's like, okay, I drew it kind of small and sort of wonky, so everything's not sort of angled at the right way. So this is like my little reminder for when I like refine, like, okay, I want everything to kind of be leaning more or less.
Perfect. Yeah. And you just selected like the letter you thought looked the best in terms of the angle to use as kind of the reference for the rest.
Yeah, I think it's just like my spirit was probably thinking to tilt it a little bit.
Yeah.
In that direction. So I think I achieved that a little bit better with a round than I did with having. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, seems like a little bit more tilted. And then I'll just copy those lines. And all I did there was I just tapped the layer once, and then I just hit duplicate layer to just copy it again. So I don't have to like draw it again.
Yes. Look at those little hacks, make it speed up the whole process.
Yeah, right. And just like, show me a shortcut way. I love doing that. And speaking of shortcut, I'm about to use the touch shortcut to group all my.
Here we go.
So this little button in the corner is the touch shortcut button. So if I tap a bunch of layers, it'll let me do a multi-select. So what I want to do is just group all of my guide layers, and then I'll just hit the little folder, and now they're all in a nice organized group. So they're not all
perfect. So you don't have a bunch of loose layers all hanging around your project. I love that.
Exactly. Because I'm just like, I know it happens every time when I go throughout the process, my layer count gets high and I might start losing track of where things were. So that's a little handy for me.
And do you usually prefer to use the pixel brushes over the vector brushes for your lettering work?
That's a very good question. And I'd definitely say yes. The pixel brushes are really great because they offer a lot of variety in terms of like styles and textures. Like the built-in pixel brushes are excellent, but I also take advantage of Kyle Webster's like brush packs that we can download and like load into the programs. He has so many brush packs that we all have access to, and you could just load them in. So I find that the pixel brushes like have the most variety and like sort of flavor, I guess.
Yeah, they do. They do have like that texture that just makes it feel handmade, exactly. and less kind of, I mean, not digital, because you can still tell that it's digital, but like a little bit of character and depth that the vector brushes, can't really compete because of the nature of vectors. But if you feel passionately about vector or pixel brushes, or if you have a favorite brush, go ahead and drop it in the chat so that we can all talk about our favorite brushes. Speaking of which, Alanna, what brush is this that you're using right now?
Oh yeah, this is just the standard pencil brush, and I have it in my favorites category because I have a lot of brushes that I really like to use. So anytime I have a brush that I find that I really love, I just start. So I can just go straight to my favorites and it's always there.
Making your workflow easier every time.
Exactly. And I love the pencil brush because I mean, it's got so much character. Like sometimes I even just leave a final piece using the pencil brush and I'll just like color over the lettering because it just has so much character. Like you said, like it just looks so nice. So I'm just like, oh, okay. Sometimes I really like that.
And how are you getting these lines so straight?
Oh yeah, that's another thing, right? Okay, so great question. If you just draw a straight line and you hold, it'll adjust automatically to give you that snap to straight line because I am no wizard.
That is so satisfying. That is,
yeah, right?
It's like the most satisfying thing to just see that those lines just be so crisp with very minimal effort.
Exactly.
A second of effort for crispy straight lines. I love that.
Exactly. It's just like, you know, we're just going to help you guys out. We're going to give you as much as you need to be great and enable you to create great work. So we'll throw some cool features in there.
I love that. And speaking of which, I think one of our moderators, Wade, just dropped in the Kyle T. Webster brushes link. So you can go ahead and click that link and download the additional free brushes that are available for Fresco. And they're incredible. Like Alanna was mentioning, Kyle T. Webster has developed some insane pixel brushes that have so much texture and character. And you can just download them straight to your iPad and start using them in Fresco for free with your Adobe Fresco. So go ahead and check those out if you haven't already, because it adds a whole other element to Fresco, to what you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's the brush master. So it's like every time he releases a pack, I'm just like, I'm downloading it right away.
I know, I download them and I start playing with all of them. And then I like pull out my traditional materials and I'm like, yeah, oh my gosh, it's like the same.
Exactly. I'm just like, it's almost like he used actual materials. It's like, yes. he does.
Yes. Uses real materials. I love it. Someone's asking, how did you turn on the snap to form straightening the lines?
Ooh, okay. That's a good question. I actually think it might be under your app settings, if I'm not incorrect. Let's see. Do.
Somewhere in here, guys.
Okay, so I'm under my app settings input. There is this little snap line. Holding at the end of a stroke will create a straight line. So I have it toggled on here. If it's to the left, it's off, but then if you toggle that, it's on. So
there you go, guys. Take a screenshot, bookmark this Adobe Live so you can come back and check it out and never forget, because that is going to save you a lot of time if you are lettering. Because look at these crisp lines. That looks immaculate.
Yeah, I'm just like, thank you so much, Fresco, for putting this into your program, because it saves me so much agony and sadness.
Yeah. I mean, I would not want to be using any other method for that.
Exactly right. It's just like, oh geez, how am I supposed to make it? Oh, it's like you'd probably just have to do it and it'd just take a lot longer. So it's also like an efficiency thing too, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you'd probably have to use that little ruler. Mm-hmm. I'm sure some people are using the ruler. Maybe they don't realize that setting is there just yet. Hopefully with this live stream, they'll have their minds doubly blown when they realize they can use that instead, because I'm still not over the ruler.
I love that when you just like, it could just be the simplest thing, but you know, it could just be like, whoa, that kind of changes everything for me.
Yeah. It's like, now I have to use Fresco every time because this is insanity. We have a good little note from someone here.
Ooh.
It's saying, I tend to write out on a layer which brush I'm using. So when I go back to an old design, I can remind myself which brush I used.
That I'm going to take that.
We can all take that tip, because that is major. The amount of times I've had to try and guess what brush I used.
Yes. It's like this idea of retracing your steps. It's like you might leave a document unopened for like months and then you come back to it's like there's no way you're going to be able to remember that necessarily. So that's a really good tip.
Yeah. It's a lot like we were saying about writing it down when you have the phrases in your head. You're like, there's no way I can forget this brush. It's the perfect brush. I'll never forget. And then you reopen that file and you forget and you spend however long trying to match it again.
Mm-hmm. And then you just end up being sad.
Yes. Let's all save ourselves the hassle and take that tip into our workflow.
Yes, I love that. I love a good tip.
All right. So you've come a long way here. Give us an update.
Yeah. So I skipped the script portions. I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to focus on the sans serif portions for now, just getting those down because some of the letters even repeat. So like for the Y and really, I just duplicated that and dropped it down for the U. So this is really just the refined sketch phase. So this is just going to be, okay, let's just make things look as tight as possible, get our placements right before we can continue on and be like, green light, we're ready to keep going. So
yes.
Yeah. So now I'm going to go and see what this script stuff is talking about.
I feel like this is the intense part. Am I wrong?
Oh, I mean, it can be as intense as you want it to be. It's like I'm thinking about like what the background music would be. I'm just like, oh my God, she's starting the script part.
Would it be like, what's it called, that HBO show? Oh, wow. I spaced on the name. You guys know, the Office one where they're in the office. You know the name. But it's not screaming at me in the chat. I should have never brought it up. Back to the drawing. As a little reminder, Succession. The word is Succession.
Oh, Succession.
That's what I was thinking. That's the song I was thinking of. Anyway, if you're just joining us now, and you're seeing Alanna here write out this script, she is working on a hand lettering project for a Valentine's Day card using Adobe Fresco. So what you are witnessing is the iPad and Fresco, and she's going ahead and doing the script. So this has been an incredible process so far, and you're not going to want to miss the rest of it and see how she develops this because it's so exciting.
Oh yeah, I love a good reset and update because it's like, who knows who's joining us when. But hello, anyone.
We welcome everyone who's joining us.
If you've just joined, hello and welcome.
Yes, and if you're watching over on YouTube, I'm glad that you're watching, but I really believe in my heart that you should hop on over to behance.net/Adobe Live so you can interact with us in the chat. We're grabbing questions from the chat about Alanna's process, and we're answering them live. So come over here. Ask us some questions. Join us as we work through this greeting card.
Yes, absolutely. We're having so much fun. Everyone's helping me a lot. And not only asking questions, they're also like dropping knowledge bombs on me. So I'm like, yes.
This is funny. When did you start? Did you learn cursive in school?
No, that's a great question. I did. And at that time, I hated it. Like I couldn't. Because it's like when we didn't have anything to do, like you finish your class assignments, you would take out your cursive lettering book and like do your practice and like write your name a million times and the alphabet a million times. But it's like, as annoying as it seemed then, I'm like super grateful to have gone through that because I don't even know if they teach it anymore.
Yeah. Imagine if you had told little Alanna that this would be critical to her professional development.
I know.
You know, she would have never thought.
Never. Just like, I know. Well, what's up?
What was that move right there? You just copied that over. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, let me do a double take. Okay, so I think I mentioned, I just, wherever you can duplicate or reuse things, you'll see in your piece a lot of the times, a lot of the forms for the letters are very similar or the same. So if it's not the exact same letter that's being repeated, there might be a piece of it that you can use again. So I just took my little freeform lasso tool because I just love it so much and just cut out this A because I see that I can use it to create the top half of my G. So I'm just going to tap this layer and just copy the selection and then paste it and move it over. And now I don't have to draw that part of my G.
And now you have the base, the base circle for the G. That is
exactly.
I would have never thought to work smarter. And you are showing us here how to work smarter and not harder using all of these incredible tools and just like tips of the trade, because I assume that also helps out with the consistency and the harmony within the word.
That's exactly right. So whenever you can just reuse things that you've already drawn or written or whatever, reuse them. Everyone does it. Trust me. Literally all the greats, every person that you look up to in the lettering world, they do this. Trust me.
Yes,
So
it just makes
it's
it look
great.
so consistent and clean. And I mean, that's the end goal, right? To have it all harmonized together.
Exactly. I think consistency is like one of the biggest, I guess, pillars I could say for like lettering. Like, yes, there's like the fundamentals, just like illustrating letters, but like if your forms start looking inconsistent and stuff like that, the design sort of starts losing a bit of its harmony. So yeah, definitely consistency.
Ooh, and now here we go. She's working on the flourish, which I find very impressive. I don't know about you guys in the chat, but I love that. I love seeing that the flourishes come to life.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm thinking, I don't know what anyone's perception might be, but I'm getting a whole lot of help as well from the pencil tool, because in the bottom left-hand corner here, actually, there's like a smoothing tool here. So like right now I have it set to 35, but if I set it to like 100, it'll make like the lines that I draw a lot stiffer. So you'll get like a little bit more resistance. So like if you find like you have like a shakier hand, or like you need like to help steady out your lines, using the smoothing tool for any brush that you use in Fresco will really help you out. So
wow, can you give us a quick little demo of the difference between like the setting? Because I'm hearing what you're saying, but I would love to see it in practice.
Yeah, let me see. So like I have it like set to 0 now. So like let's see what, okay, let me like do a little bit of a, so like, okay, fine, like boop. Like, okay, my circle's like pretty okay, I guess. Let me like up my smoothing.
Oh, that was first
so
try,
much
a
more
lot.
controlled, right? It's just
Yes.
like this one has like a lot more lumps and bumps in it. I had to go around it a few more times because I just didn't have that same kind of control. But the smoothing setting will like change your life.
That is so nuts. I had no idea that was there. I thought that, I don't know what I thought that was. I didn't think it was that. And now I know, and I can't wait to use it. I feel like I have yet another reason to go and open up Adobe Fresco, because even if you're not hand lettering, even if you're just drawing a circle or curves in an illustration, that is going to be such an advantage and just make it so much easier to get to where you're going.
Exactly. It's just like anyone could use that. So it definitely saves my life a lot of the time. So shout out to the smoothing tool.
Shout out the smoothing tool. Shout out the snap line tool. Shout out the ruler. That's 3 tools that, at least for me, have already blown my mind, aside from the technique and the process that we're learning here today.
That's awesome. I'm super, super happy to share any nuggets of value along the way.
So many nuggets.
All right.
We're moving on to a round. I'm assuming you're going to start copy pasting some of these, the forms.
Exactly. Because like now we have so many, we have an N as well. A lot of like the loops we could use for other things. So it's going to be a lot of the duplicate, the duplicate tool. So this
smarter, working smarter, guys, working smarter.
Exactly. It's all about working smarter whenever you can. And I think I had mentioned this, just like my layer count kind of gets a little high, because as I refine, I end up separating my letter forms more. So it's like, maybe I won't have the full word around on the same layer, because like maybe I want to tweak my spacing and stuff, and I don't want to have to erase and like, separate my forms every single time. So I find that like keeping, maybe 1 or 2 letters per layer and then moving on to a new layer helps me just like with my organization of my workflow.
Yeah, and have the most control still.
Exactly.
On the forms. Amazing. Exactly. I love, I feel like it happens to everyone, that everyone has an insane amount of letters by the end of any piece. But it's super cool that even here on the iPad, you can like you showed us earlier, put it in a folder and do some sort of organization still to kind of keep it all under control.
Exactly. It's just like, it can be pure chaos, it seems. And
we're avoiding pure chaos today.
Exactly. We're going to keep it zen. We're going to keep it chill. Like
this is neat and this is a neat and tidy Adobe Live session.
Yeah, right. Just like the way that I would ideally work all the time if everything was always so chill. So let's try to conjure up those vibes for future creations.
Alanna, I saw that it was recently your first year freelance anniversary. Am I right?
Oh yeah, geez. Yeah, it's the end
Congratulations.
of January.
That's huge.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
What made you decide to go freelance as a graphic designer and lettering artist?
Yeah, I had just always been into lettering. Since I took a typography course in college, I had taken up lettering and calligraphy just like as a little creative side hobby. And was definitely not something that I used in my day-to-day job as a graphic designer. So I think after a while, I just wasn't feeling that same kind of creative challenge from the work that I was doing as a graphic designer. And obviously it's great because I still use like my design sense and those tools and same knowledge 100%. In the work that I do today. But I really wanted to take a stab at, being a professional lettering artist. So I was just like, you know what, I'll just take that leap. And if it works out, that's great. And if it doesn't, I mean, worst case scenario, I'll become a designer again.
Yes, the worst case is still a great case.
Yeah, right.
And meanwhile, you're following your dreams. You're going for becoming a lettering artist. You are a lettering artist. And I just seeing this process here today is so impressive. And, just another heartfelt congratulations on your first year. Because that's huge. I feel like that's right. That's like the toughest years is the first one.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of, it was the toughest, but also I think, you'll cherish it, I guess, because it's just like, all the stuff that you're learning and stuff that you'll kind of have a knack for, I guess, once you get into your later years. So I definitely appreciate making it through my first year and just excited to just, keep creating and seeing what happens. And,
what are you doing here? What's the thought process?
So I'm thinking that my G and my D will end up being similar in the treatment of the flourish from the top. So I'm going to see how that fits. And if it doesn't work, then I'll just like undo it. But I'm seeing like a similarity in form there. So I'm going to test that out and see what happens.
Got it. Okay. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah. So this is good. Like, again, like with keeping your letter form separate, because it's just like, okay, I see that like there's that similarity in form, but like it kind of runs off the page. So I'll probably end up having to tweak it a little bit more or even move the word around a little bit over to the left. So I'll just probably have to make that adjustment. But the good thing is that this letter is just free form and it doesn't like affect negatively the other things that I've already written out. So I'm just going to make a little adjustment and then
that's the benefit of working with all those layers. I mean, even though it feels like it's messy, it's totally beneficial.
Yeah, it's just like, your process is your process. That's why I really love like watching other people work. Like sometimes they'll do like, Behance streams on their own pages and stuff like that. And just seeing like other people's processes and seeing how people work, because it might just like maybe get someone to think differently about how they work. And it might actually be a more beneficial workflow or just to try something different.
Definitely. I feel like we've already learned so many tips on this stream that I am sure that anyone who's watching is already reconsidering their workflow in Fresco. And I feel like there's a couple people who didn't realize the power of Fresco on iPad. And I feel like this is a huge, this shows exactly like how impressive it is and all the control that you really have.
Yeah, it's great. I think I'm super, I'm kind of obsessed with Fresco, admittedly, but also like on my YouTube channel, I have so many Fresco tutorials. So I've sort of approached it from multiple angles, like Adobe Fresco tutorials for lettering artists, Adobe Fresco tutorials for beginners, like who are just doing any kind of art. So I've sort of dissected it in my mind, I guess, from a bunch of different creative perspectives. So
true. You've already experimented with it a lot.
Yeah. So I think
can tell here with your process.
Yeah, it's been fun getting to know the program and seeing everything that it can do. So yeah.
I love seeing this. You just like cut You just
Oh,
ruthlessly cut that flourish,
yeah,
brought
right.
it down and filled it in.
Exactly. Cause I'm just like, there was some tension being created between the loops. It looks sort of weird when loops are just so close to touching, but they don't intersect. So I'm just going to drop it down a little bit lower and just so it'll just, be a little,
Give it a little space, a little room to
yeah,
breathe.
exactly. Just like be friends. It's okay. And that's great. And that's also like a great part of this like refined sketch process because just sort of see what's what.
Yeah, I mean that's what we were saying before. Like your original sketch, the flourishes intertwine differently, and we're moving them to what makes the most sense. We're not holding on to the original first thumbnail as like it has to be set in stone or anything.
Exactly. It's just like we're keeping it fluid. And actually, speaking of like the flourishes and stuff, I actually missed one on my end, so I'm gonna put that in now.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. So I had one to fill
Good
out
catch.
the bottom. Yeah, I was just like, oh gosh, I'm like missing one. So let's throw this one in and see.
This one's really gonna pull it all together. I sense it. I sense it in my heart that this is where it's all gonna come together right here with this last flourish, everyone.
Yeah, it's like about balance, I guess. So like I said, I'm just like I use flourish a lot to fill in my little compositional holes and stuff. So it's like, okay, I can fix this this white space here by just throwing in a flourish.
Yes. And it's not only fixing, it's adding.
Exactly. That's true. I think it ultimately does enhance the overall piece. So
yeah,
it's a win-win for everybody.
I love this mix of script and the sans serif. Do you feel like you gravitate towards sans serif or serif more? Do you have like a preference here? And if you have a strong opinion on serif or sans serif, please drop it in the chat. I want to know where we're at here, who we're working with.
I would love to know that as well, because I love talking typefaces and stuff. I feel like everyone, even if you're not a designer or an artist or something, someone could probably mention it's like, oh, I just love that type. I don't know why, but or they'll call it a font or whatever, but it doesn't matter. They'll just be like, oh, I just really like that one. And they'll just, it's just like they speak.
We all feel passionate about it.
Yeah.
We all have ones that we dislike strongly and some that we love strongly. Yeah. So what team are you on, Alanna? You avoided the question. I have to be Oprah right now and re-ask you.
You're so right. Okay. I like sans serif because I think it complements my work the best, because I think I sort of go towards like bolder, friendlier, more playful. And I feel like sans serif is sort of that more by default. But shout out to serif, because serif is great. I love a good serif. And honestly, I feel like I've been seeing a lot of really interesting, like funky, beautiful serif typefaces coming out lately. And that's just like sort of breaking and shattering the illusion of like, oh, it doesn't
seriousness.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't have to be Times New Roman, but it's still serif,
Yeah, I think you're right. I've been seeing some really playful serif ones coming out type. It's exciting to see. And I'm always like bookmarking them on the Adobe Type Kit. I'm always adding those.
Exactly. So I'm just like, I need to keep this in mind, because those also like can serve as like good inspiration as well.
Ooh, okay. What's going on now? I feel like we're at a milestone. Am I right? I feel like we just hit a milestone.
So this is the point where it's like, okay, I have like a more refined sketch for my lettering, so that's great. And then I turned off my little guides layer here, and then I turned off my super janky beginning thumbnail sketch lettering that I don't need anymore. So I'm just sort of like seeing where everything is resting and falling and see if I want to make any adjustments. So I think I actually am going to make some adjustments, but first I'm going to turn off my grid as well, just so I can like see things more clearly and like assess better. Because at the end of the day, the design's not going to have a grid on top of it. So it's like anything that's visually impairing your, being able to make that decision and discern that, just shut it off for now. And then you can
because at first the grid was helpful, and now it's a bit distracting, and we need to see clearly where things are falling. So tell me what you're thinking now that you turn the grid off.
Yes. So I'm thinking that it's looking really tight at the top, like I really like and having, but then there's a lot of space around you, like just like a lot of negative space here. So I'm thinking I'm going to start by dropping having down a little bit and see how I feel. And then just go from there.
I see what you're saying. I still think it looks amazing. And I can't believe we got here today. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't be impressed right now with the fact that once she turned off that grid, I was like, okay, I see this design. I can like visualize it. And now we're just perfecting the spacing here.
Yeah, because it's like, I really want to make this, feel as good as possible before we like go ahead into like the next part of our process. And I might even just like, let me see if I'll play around with like, pulling things out to like fill out the width a little bit more. Maybe I'll like push this up a little bit.
Yes, someone said we got here so fast. I fully agree. I feel like this would take me mentally days to complete.
I mean, I'm telling you, like, it really, really depends on like the thing. Cause like, I'll be struggling for a while with certain things. I'm just like, I don't know what it is. It's just this mental block. And then other things just sort of fall into place. But also I'm giving you guys like due credit because like I said, I don't usually work. I'm just like by myself working. So getting the in real time feedback from you guys has been like really helpful. So shout out to everyone in the Behance
Shout out to the chat for the feedback. We want to hear more from you. If you have questions, let us know. I mean, I fully agree that we got here pretty fast, and I'm impressed because for an hour into the stream and we're right here and it already looks so like put together to me, but I know that Alanna is about to take it. She's about to take it like way further and knock it out of the park. So let's join her on this journey. A little reminder, if you're just now tuning in, if you're just now watching the stream, we're here with Alanna and she is working on a hand lettering piece here for Valentine's Day. It's a greeting card and she is using Adobe Fresco on iPad. So if you're like, what is this magic? It's Adobe Fresco on iPad, and get used to it because it's amazing. We learned so much today.
Yes. And if there's anything that you missed, you'll always be able to watch the replay.
That's right.
And just save whatever little tips.
Whatever nugget of knowledge you got, you can come back and rewatch Alanna make it happen for you on demand.
Yeah, right. Just keep playing forward and back.
Alanna, snap line.
Snap
constantly.
Snap line. I'm obsessed with this little nudge feature, by the way, because sometimes I'm literally just moving it by like the smallest amount. So like I'm just tapping these little arrows and you might not notice it like at first because it's such a small amount, but it's just shifting just ever so slightly.
I had no idea what that was. I just thought it was like something that happened when you touch things. I did not realize it was an interactive element. You guys, did you see that? She was able to nudge it, and I can see this being so useful for lettering because like you said, you just don't need to move it a hair. And with the pencil, it's so easy to like overshoot it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's almost like this is like my best friend. Just like just a few pixels and that's all I need.
Especially because you can lasso like maybe just the word you or just a letter and nudge it.
Exactly.
That would be so beneficial.
You've got the right idea. Okay. So I've done some nudging, done some wiggling and wobbling around. I mean, I guess it's okay.
I like it. I really like it. I feel like if someone gave me this Valentine's Day card, I would be pretty happy.
Yeah, right. I think part of what I mean, maybe it subconsciously made me into want to be a lettering artist or something, but I've kept like all of my birthday cards and stuff from like, I don't know when I was how old. I just love the design and everything. And I'm just like, and then when I got older, I'm just like, oh, there's like people who like do this. This is like a thing.
Hold on. There's someone behind all of these cards.
I'm just like, come on, man. What are you talking about? I'm just like, you could have your design on one of those cards. So that's what I've got my sights set on.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what motivated you to get into lettering because it is such a it can be intimidating, like when you have to learn the art of lettering. So what motivated you to move that way?
Yeah, I think I'd mentioned I'd taken a typography class when I was in college. So that's when my professor introduced us to the work of Jessica Hish, who's like a super, phenomenal lettering artist, like the one. And she was, I think that was around the time when she did her drop cap study project that like really put her on the map and took off. Yeah. So I was just like, wow, that's so cool. Like, that's so beautiful. And it's just like you're drawing the letters instead of like typing them.
I know that's when it like clicked for you.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow, that's so cool. Now I may not have known like at that moment, like that it was called like lettering artists and like there's a market for this and yada, yada, yada. But there's just something about it that clicked to me. And I just loved it. And I just kept it as a hobby until I took it on as my profession.
Yes. Like we were saying, you're now you've hit your anniversary. Do you have any tips for someone, like maybe just one big tip for someone considering going freelance as a lettering artist?
Oh yeah. One big tip. I would say,
I mean, I'm sure people would welcome as many tips as you want. So I'm not going to stop you.
You're so funny. No, I would definitely say like, know what you want. I guess it's kind of two. Know what you want and then ask for it. So you can't ask for what you want if you don't know. So I guess the part of that is like doing research. So it's like, well, what kind of projects would you be interested in? So you kind of know like what direction to steer your professional, goals towards. And then once you're in those rooms or sending those emails to all the people you've imagined sending emails to, I mean, please just get ready for people to respond. Like, there will be a lot of no replies. Like, trust me, it happens to me all the time, but someone will eventually respond and you should have an answer for them. It's like, hey, can you do this? And it's like, will you say yes? Or will you say, oh God, will you freeze?
Right. Yeah. You have to be prepared to take it on. So you got to know what you're asking for.
Exactly. So yeah.
And you never know if down the line, they may need you, if not when you send that email, but maybe a couple months later or the following year for a different collection. So
absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Alanna has 10 incredible freelance lessons that she shared over on her Instagram and across her social. So if you want more freelance tips from her first year as a freelance hand lettering artist, go ahead and check her out there while she shows us here the process, her workflow using Adobe Fresco. Give us an update, Alanna. Where are we? Give us a little recap. What are you moving into next?
So I am just being like super duper nitpicky at this point, but I think I'm just going to open up the space a little bit. I could point to it right here between the stem of the A going into the V. Just want to open it up a little bit because comparatively to like this space here, I think it's a little bit close. So I'm just going to take my lasso tool and break that apart and then just like open it up a little bit. And then after that, I think I'm pretty in a good space. And then we can get our next layer of more preciously designed letters.
Got it. Okay.
Our more final card design. So stay tuned.
Okay. So right now we're adjusting the composition so that we can then move on to another more final layer. Mm-hmm. Ooh, you're taking that whole chunk. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, and then I was talking about it. I was just like, oh yeah, keep all your letters separate and then like they're all together. But but I wasn't, I mean, things happen. And it's things okay. Change. And we can improvise and change our minds. Exactly.
You can change your mind.
Exactly. I don't care if you're like all the way at the end, you can still change your mind.
Definitely.
It's not done until you kind of say, yeah, that's good. But yeah.
And it's always adjustable here with the tools. Exactly. So why not? If you have the freedom to do it, go ahead and do it. I mean, if this was like a sketchbook, like a regular, traditional materials, you wouldn't have the liberty. So now you have the liberty. Why not seize the tools?
Exactly. Right. It's just like
go for it.
They enable us to do so much. So you should just take them up on the offer and be like, yes, I'll use all of them.
I love it.
Wonderful.
I see what you're saying. That looks a lot more even.
Yeah. Just
I didn't catch it originally, but I see it now.
It's interesting because usually I do end up duplicating my words just to keep track sort of the versions, because sometimes I will end up changing my mind and be like, maybe that version from 40 minutes ago is the one I want to go with. But,
Oh yeah. That's classic designer indecision.
I know, right? It's like never fully all the way. But in any case, we are going to now move on to our more final lettering layer. So I am going to do the same thing again, where I just lower the opacity of this group of letters, because
that's a group, right? Yeah. Okay.
So they're just all grouped together. And this is just serving as, my guide. So like my letters are a lot prettier now than they were from the sketch. So I have a more, set composition, more set sort of idea of where things are going. I also shifted a lot of this stuff around. So I'm actually going to redraw my guides as well, because I think if I throw my, actually I might be able to.
You may be able to reuse them.
This actually. Yeah, and just sort of shift this around. I'm just going to make some adjustments. I'm just going to basically dissect and use the transform tool to just sort of.
There we go. You can reuse those original guides.
Don't even have to redraw them. Just doing a little bit of adjusting.
I want to give everyone in the chat a shout out.
Woo woo.
Penny and Joke and everyone in the chat. Richard, yes, I am so excited that you guys are in here watching this stream. If you have any other questions about Alanna's process or about her career as a graphic designer and as a lettering artist, go ahead and drop them in the chat. We're so glad to have you here watching with us.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who's tuning in. And I just love it when people, carve a little bit of time out and just hang out.
Yes,
or sometimes they use it as like a co-work. Yeah, right. Like a little co-working stream where it's just like, they're working, I'm working, we're just doing creative stuff.
Yes. And that way, like you were saying, a lot of creatives work so alone. And now here we get some real feedback time and we can ask questions, because you could ask Google, but you have a professional. You have a hand lettering professional here available to you, courtesy of Adobe Live. So why not ask her the questions directly, get your answers? You don't have to, worry about sorting through Google results, that are from like 2 years ago, but, don't make sense now. So come on.
Yeah, that's so funny.
It happens though.
Yeah, just like, well, what's my, when in doubt, ask Google.
Yeah. I mean, Google has, gotten us very, very, very far. So I'm not, no shade to Google.
It's true. I'm not going to front like I don't use it every single day. So
yes.
Okay. So I'm going to lock this layer, because I'm just not going to try and give myself the opportunity to by mistake like touch that layer of letters and then
playing it safe here. Yes. Okay.
I just know. And I'm actually just going to block my guides layer just because, just in case, just to
saving yourself from yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. Because I'm just like, we're getting nearer to the final. So like, I want to be a little bit more cautious.
Totally.
Okay. So I guess I mentioned that I have like this whole favorites group of brushes that I'm like obsessed with. There's actually, if anyone's like interested or didn't know, like there's a whole lettering section, which when I saw that in Fresco, I was just like, they thought about us. So actually some of my favorite brushes are within this lettering category. So I was like freaking out when I saw that. So
yeah, that's incredible. I feel like those have to move so effortlessly when you're doing your lettering because of the flows and stuff. I can see it.
Yeah, right. So interesting. So I'm just going to grab this comics letterer brush, which I really like for a few reasons. I think it's cool. I like the way that it writes. Let me see if I like that thickness. Yeah, that's like 44 point. I think it's cool. It's really like dark.
Yeah.
So I like that. Like if I'm trying to just like, get just like a nice dark base
contrast. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm just using that same snap line. Exactly. Actually 44 might be a little thick because this, let me see. Yeah, it's a little pressure sensitive, so I'm just keeping that in mind.
So we're accounting for that. Yeah.
Because it's like the harder I press, the thicker that line will get. in some spots. So I'm just,
which is nice to give it a little bit of like depth to the lettering, but again, you also want to keep it, you don't want it to get too out of control here.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm just like, I don't want it to get a little too gunky in some spots. It'll get a little too thick maybe. So keeping an eye out for that. And just letting
we have a question here from Amar.
Oh, hey.
They say, often when I look at other people's designs, if I try to create my own, mine may heavily take a look from those designs I see. So how does one become more creative in that sense to avoid doing that, I assume? Would you have any tips for that?
That's really interesting. I guess, yeah, it's really easy to take too much direct inspiration if you see something a lot. I would say I think it really helped me to expand the kind of work that I was taking in. So it's like, I'm not just following 1,000,005 lettering artists on Instagram. Like I follow lettering artists, type designers, illustrators, like people who do like a variety of kinds of creative work. So you might take like a little bit from a lettering artist and a little bit from an illustrator and just sort of like maybe create like something a little bit more unique. That's sort of like a union of those things that you're sort of consuming in equal amounts. So it's not just like, I'm only looking at this one person's work all the time kind of thing, because that could steer you into work that looks very similar to theirs. And
diversify your inspiration.
Exactly. I think that's like helped me so much. And also it like will like open you up to like maybe some other creative disciplines that might interest you, that you might want to try out. Cause like I'm still in the middle of a typeface design class that I still haven't finished. But it's so much fun, like learning about letters and design from that sort of
perspective. Yeah. Okay, so. Yeah. I feel like if you mix inspirations, that way you can kind of mix trends so that you're not too on the nose on the trend. And that way you're kind of pushing yourself a little further, mixing your own creative inspiration with the up and coming trends to kind of create something new. That way, again, like you were saying, you don't take too much from one person. You kind of have a little bit of yourself and kind of make it more authentic to you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
What did you do there with the eraser? I saw you do that. And I want to know.
Oh, what did I do? Oh, yes. I don't remember. What did I do?
I think you like, why did you erase the ends of the L's?
Oh yeah. So I guess I'm like thinking a few steps ahead, but I love this particular brush because it's sort of interesting and like the ends aren't like sharp. Right. So it's sort of like, got like a little bit of like it's not blunt.
Organic. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a little bit more organic, sort of like more of a brushed flow. So maybe I'm just sort of like subconsciously preemptively cutting them off because I'm just like, okay, well, if I don't want them all to look like that, I'll eventually have to cut all of them off, which I may end up doing and I may end up not doing. But I think I was just sort of be like, maybe those should be a little bit sharper at the ends. And
okay.
And if I
make them look a little bit more identical, right? Because they're both L's.
Exactly. So it's like if I do it to one L, it'll happen to the other L. But that might be somewhere where I change my mind.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, like we've said in the stream from the beginning, Alanna may change her mind and she has every right to do so.
Yeah,
with her design.
And everyone does. Like it's so, I feel like, I don't know, it's easy to be like super precious about something, but it's just like, give yourself the freedom to change your mind and to be flexible with your work. So
yes, experiment, and because you also want to have fun with it and like the finished product. So if you give yourself too many rules, you'll box yourself in too tight.
Exactly. And we want to be, well, you can be boxed in if you want. Anyone can do anything they want, but if you want a little bit more flexibility, you can give it to yourself by
free yourself,
allowing yourself to be free.
We have a question here from Joke or Joke. I'm not exactly sure the pronunciation, but it's a question on the pixels. So can you switch easily from digital 72 to print in Fresco, or do you set up your canvas already in 300 DPI?
Ooh, that's a very good question. So yes, because I'm always thinking about the end result. So if I'm going to send this to a card company, it'll be a print card. So I want to make sure that my canvas is set to 300 DPI. So that's something that you can, make a decision on in the very beginning. just think about the end result of where your piece will go. And
Right.
also, even if it's not going to be print, I like to just set my DPI to 300 anyway, just so I have a little bit of wiggle room and flexibility in terms of application. So if I do end up using it for something else, it doesn't, get like crazy fixated.
Because I believe that you can go down on DPI if you have a bigger project, but I don't think you can just go from 72 to 300 if you change your mind, because you're missing information. Exactly. That's my understanding.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But if you go from 300, if you have the project already at 300 and now you decide you just want it to be digital, it's easy for you to export it at 72 DPI, but not the reverse. That's my understanding of it. And yeah, Fresco allows you to set those settings in the beginning for your canvas.
Yeah. And if you're ever like curious, like it'll just like under your little settings, your little reminder for like your little information is like, okay, my pixel size is 300. It might say DPI or PPI, pixels per inch. It means the same thing. So if you just want like a little double check,
yes,
it's right there handy for you.
So that's super cool about Fresco, that you can get all of that down to the nitty gritty information and set up your canvases like that. Do you actually ever then bring it into Photoshop on desktop for any reason, since Fresco allows that?
That's a really great question. And I guess it depends on the project, because from the very beginning of the stream, if anyone was tuned in, I showed that project, that Electric Love project. Yes. And I did end up bringing that into Photoshop to use more of those like blur and like other effects on my lettering. So I definitely have used like the way that Fresco and Photoshop can work together in that way. And I also love using Photoshop on my iPad because of convenience. So
yes, all of the iPad apps are so convenient.
So good. I'm like obsessed with Adobe Illustrator for iPad right now. That's the one I'm tackling now that I'm learning, and it's
the next stream, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. It's just like, well, if we come back and if anyone's interested, I'd totally be down to create something in Illustrator for iPad, because they have packed a lot of stuff into a completely mobile experience, which is like kind of crazy how powerful the iPad is. So
yes. So. If anyone is just tuning in now to this stream, Alanna is working with Adobe Fresco to create this hand lettered piece for a Valentine's Day card. The theme is Valentine's Day. The theme is general love, not just romantic love, people. So yeah, that's what she's working on. It's all on iPad, and yeah, it just goes to show how like robust iPad can be. And I feel like we all know that, but we're not like we don't like believe it just yet. We're also like getting used to the fact that you can do so much on the iPad.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like so easy to be like, and it can do that too, and that too.
Yes.
And that. So it's just like, oh wow, that's awesome.
But I still think it's super neat. Like if you're just getting started with Fresco and you do a similar project like Alanna's today, you could then go and open it into Photoshop with the Creative Cloud sync and open it on desktop and do any finishing touches, like Alanna was saying, adding any effects or all the other additional tools that Photoshop has to offer. You can still go take it a step further if you need.
Yeah, absolutely. They're like friends. So it's just like
they're
they all
besties.
Work together. They all work together. So it's like, please, by all means, feel free to take advantage of everything that's going on.
Yes. Oh, I love to see this. How buttery was that, everyone? I love it. It feels so like what's satisfying, like oddly satisfying to watch that.
It's so funny.
I'm prepared for this. This is going to be the best part of the stream right here, right now, everyone. Join us on behance.net/Adobe Live to celebrate this buttery smooth hand lettering moment.
You're so funny. And it's like, and I'm gonna undo it. I'm just like, it's just not quite crisp there. It's not quite crisp yet, but it's cool because undoing
high standards, everyone. Standards are high.
But undoing and redoing is so simple. So it's just like 2 tap.
Okay, that's you're vibing with that one though?
It's better. I can always go back and refine further, but let's move on. That's totally fine.
We can't be perfectionists today.
I know.
You know, we want to get this design to where it needs to be. So if this is just a hype session here. You can't be a perfectionist when you're creative because you have to keep making stuff. You can't get in your own way.
You're so right. You are so right. And
I love that smoothing effect and how it may. I don't know if that's your hand. I don't know if that's a smoothing effect.
Smoothing. Let's check our smooth. It's 100. It's on 100. That's not me. That's the smoothing effect.
There we go, guys. Because it's like, it's giving like sign painter.
Ooh, see, those videos are the ones that are like super satisfying. Like watching the master sign painters work
with just like a brush, and they're just like,
just one swipe, just like, that like literally
this is basically the same thing. If you ask me, this is basically the same thing. I don't see a difference.
You're so funny.
Thank you, Adobe Fresco smoothing tool. Thank you, Alanna's spectacular touch. This is next level lettering happening right here.
So funny. I'm like, it's wonderful being able to share this moment with you all and everyone who's tuning in. So I'm like having so much fun.
It's amazing. I love seeing other people's workflows because even if like, I've used Fresco before, but I'm still learning so much about all the different tools and tricks that you have and kind of like your strategy for layers and everything. It's always you always learn something when you see someone else's workflow.
Exactly. Sometimes you just need to see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, why would I do it that way? Oh, because nudging it makes so much more sense than moving it with the pencil, trying to be a perfectionist and it doesn't work.
Exactly. It's just like the app will do a lot of the heavy lifting for me. So I'm just like, I'll let it do it for me.
Yes, release yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I release myself from the burden of needing perfectly straight lines.
Yes, let the software take care of that.
Exactly.
We believe in that here. Let the software take care of the hard things for you.
Exactly. That's so funny.
No problem. Okay, I'm so excited to see this G.
Oh yeah,
I've been waiting for this moment, you guys.
Okay, that's so funny. Okay, so it's the same process as before. We're not gonna reinvent the wheel. We already created our A, so we're gonna copy it over.
She's smart, guys. She's smart.
I'm just like, I'm not gonna change the playbook. I'm gonna do it the same way as before. I'm gonna do it the same way as before.
I don't know why I'm surprised. I should have seen it coming, but I'm still very excited for the flourish because you haven't made one like that yet, so it cannot be duplicated.
Okay,
I'm ready.
Well, actually, I'm going to do my downstroke first. So yeah, let's do our little stem.
Yes, Penny says swirl smarter, not harder. I agree.
I love that. That's amazing. Swirl smarter, not harder.
I can see that being lettered already, Penny.
Oh, that's actually a really good. Yeah, that. Penny, are you a lettering artist? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Incorporate that somehow into your next.
Go for it. Go forth and letter.
Oh, I love that. I love those little natural moments that just is like you just hear someone say something. It's just like that would make a really good phrase to letter. I love those moments.
We can't wait to see your piece, Penny. No pressure.
Right? No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure. Can't wait to see your Adobe Fresco piece.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Okay, I'm getting like super into a detail that I can.
And you're just going in there. You're just doing the double, like the finger zoom in, right? To get all the different angles. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just like 2 fingers spread apart and then pinching when I want to get a little bit of a general view of it. And get as close as you need. It'll zoom in pretty far. So don't feel weird getting up and close.
I mean, when I draw on paper, I am getting this close. So it makes sense to zoom in that much on the iPad.
Yeah, right. And just like, okay, I can get a much better look at this.
Ooh, I love when you do that. It feels so like definitive. You're just like, no, longer.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I'm trying to hit sort of that same spot. And sometimes it's like, it's hard for lightning to strike in the same place twice or something like that sort of idea, where it's just like, okay, it's going to be really hard to like completely recreate that exact same motion from before. So it's just like, okay, you might miss it by a little bit and then you can just adjust. And
much easier to fill in that little spot than to redo the entire swirl.
Exactly. So I'm just like, yeah, I just need it nudged over just a little bit, so we're okay.
I like it.
Okay, and then
this we have the first script word, we have it written out. Is that how you would say? Am I using the right term? Is there a specific term I should use?
I just, the first word in script is fine or something like that.
There's a lot, I'm sure.
It's like, it's totally fine. It's like I have a stack of books a mile high with all the proper vocabulary and stuff. And I still misuse terms, I'm sure, and just sort of.
Yes, I'm sure people in the chat understand where we're at because they've been following along this incredible process and seeing how it's developing. We're all so invested in. I'm gonna have to like send this card to someone somehow because I feel emotionally invested.
It's like I was there from the very beginning. I remember when it was just a scrawny little number 2 thumbnail sketch.
I remember when you were a baby thumbnail. Last time I saw you, you were a baby thumbnail.
And I voted for you.
Exactly. Okay, so you turn that A into an O.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's just the same.
I love to see the consistency in that formula because I'm just like, it reassures me that there's a strategy for me to get consistent letters available, and I don't have to just have a magical hand. So you can rely on these just by having consistent forms. You can improve your lettering. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just like over time you'll notice like patterns in your forms and be like, oh, that looks really similar to that. And then it's just like, oh, that is just, a D is just an A with a longer stem. So it's like,
I've always said that. I've literally
said that. Coined that whole phrase. Just like, yeah, I was the first. Oh, geez. But
a question about your career as a lettering artist. What kind of projects do you tend to take on or like to take on as a lettering artist?
That's a really great question. I've been really fortunate to work on different kinds of projects. Some of the first clients I got were to do lettering for social media posts. So that was really cool. I got to do that. I actually got to do it for Adobe last year. So
we
that
like those guys over at Adobe.
They're cool. So that was cool. And it's such an interesting thing because it's like, unless you see it maybe applied, like you see someone else doing it, it's like, oh yeah, like I did this hand lettering piece completely for social media for a major brand. You might not necessarily translate. So it's like, this is a professional way that my work could manifest itself. So yeah. I really enjoyed doing social media projects. I've been able to do a few of them. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then anytime I get to see my work like printed out on something physical is always nice. So
heartwarming, right?
Yeah,
like you were saying, you always collected your cards as growing up, and it's just like taking that memory to the next level.
Exactly. Like even if you run like your own Etsy shop or something, like there's just something about printing out your own work and just seeing it not on your screen.
It's
and just
so
like
rewarding.
It's so good. It's just like amazing. So I'd really love to get my work on more physical products, I guess, going forward. But
yeah, that would be amazing. I see it for you. I see it happening for you. Like this, if I can print this out, I will.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, with everything, it'll always reappear on social media, in its final form. But you guys will be the originals, who were there from the beginning. We'll know. The humble origins, but yeah.
We have a question here from Julie while you're working on that beautiful D that's coming along now.
Oh, hey, what's up?
When you're designing cards, do you work on the inside of the card as well, like the inside phrase or wording?
Oh, that's a really good question. And it depends on the client, because sometimes they don't need wording for the inside. You can get, like, if you do have an idea, I would say, feel free to like propose it to the client. Like, it's just like, I'm a lettering artist, but I have a way with words. So like, this is an idea, but unless they explicitly ask me, usually no. I'm usually on the cover of the card kind of person.
But you do pitch what's on the cover of the card? Or do they come with
always,
you?
Sometimes, most of the time they'll come with a phrase, but also sometimes they give me complete creative control and they just tell me the theme. So it's just like, oh, this is just for the holiday season. This is just for Mother's Day or something. And then you can be as creative as you want with
amazing. It's so interesting. I'm so glad you asked that question, Julie, because it's so interesting to see the different ways that artists can work with brands and companies to create like even just greeting cards. I had never been able to ask anyone that question and find out, from an insider exactly, how they're working through this process. So that's always super interesting. Thanks for sharing, Alanna.
Oh yeah, totally. That was a great question.
Okay, we have the base of the D, which like we've said before, is just an A with a higher stem.
Mm-hmm. And I did the same thing that I did in the more refined sketch phase where I forgot the little flourish on the end. I just like looped it into my D, so I'll fix that later. But I'm seeing that my layers are getting a little wonky and a little disorganized. I'm just going to rein them in and just sort of drop them into each other to make some nice, neat groups.
Yes.
Go a little crazy over here.
Check it, rein it all in. Check it all in.
Just bring it in. We'll be fine.
While Alanna does that, if you're just tuning into this stream right now, Alanna has been working on a Valentine's Day lettering piece on, like a greeting card using Adobe Fresco. Right now, we're down to the final D.
and then the Succession music starts playing again.
Yeah, that's not how it goes. I can't think of it
I don't
right
remember. But what a great show.
Yeah.
Definitely a fan.
Brutal.
Oh, jeez.
I feel like this work environment that we're creating here is a lot better. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this work environment is a little less hostile than Succession. Yeah. And a lot more love happening here with these graphics. So that's always a plus.
Absolutely. You guys are the best virtual coworkers for the day ever.
Yes. I love having a virtual co-working team. It makes me feel just less alone in this world.
Oh, that sounds like something I could definitely get into. Like I'm really just into, I guess it's just like a lot of group chats, but not like, let's all hop on a Zoom call or something. Like, even if we're not like talking like the whole time, just like working together.
Yeah, like just working sessions. Sometimes I feel like I need a little bit of pressure from knowing that my peers are getting something done to inspire me to get something done,
Well, definitely 100%. Because I'm just like, like you said, because it's like, it's all on me to get my stuff done. So
that's something that I feel like that is a universal struggle for creatives, is like, having to fulfill your own deadlines and your own artistic goals and stuff like that. So at least here we can all have a shared space.
Absolutely.
A quick poll for those out in the chat. If you're going to start using Adobe Fresco and use one of the new tools that we learned here today with Alanna, why don't you go ahead and comment the tool that you're going to be using, because I'm just curious to see how many people are going to implement some of those new tools into their workflow.
Oh yeah,
I want to know.
I would love to know as well, because I'm just like, what are people really gravitated towards in terms of tools? Yeah.
For me, I'll say it's the measuring. I forgot the name, but the measuring ruler.
Oh yeah, the ruler. Yeah.
Yeah, right, that's going to be major for me, just to have some guidance in my life. Who wouldn't use a little guidance?
Exactly. Right. Just like,
not.
Help. A little help is great.
All right, Alanna, where are we at?
So I've got all of my letters drawn here. So I'm going to do the same thing. We're just doing a little bit of repetition. I'm just going to let these guides fall away. So I'm going to turn that off. And then I've got my refined sketch layer. I'm just going to boop that off.
Boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
This is level 3, I would say?
Yeah, I guess so. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. I can definitely see the improvements, especially with that new brush that you use, which is a pixel brush. Can you just show everyone what that brush was, just for those who are wondering, just tuning in, what brush you're using?
No, absolutely. So this is the comics letterer brush, which is under the lettering category. And
It's beautiful.
I have it starred because it's one of my favorites.
Perfect. Ooh, we have people saying they're going to use some new brushes. They're going to use the ruler.
Nice.
So I'm so glad this has been helpful for you guys.
Yeah, I'm super pumped that everyone's getting some good tips and value from this, because I'm just like, I love a good tip.
Yeah. And the beauty of it is you can bookmark this session so you can come back to it, get a replay. Alanna can be by your side once again.
Yes, we can be going through this process again as many times as you like.
As many times as you want. You can rewatch it. Okay, what's going on? Are you tweaking?
So now we're getting back to like that sort of maybe just like being a little bit finicky, where it's like you saw me like erasing the ends of those. So just like making a solid decision. So it's like, do I want them to be, cut off and like sharp, or do I want them to be a little bit more organic?
Right.
And I think now that I see everything, I really like the way that like the flow of the natural brushes. So I think I'm just gonna like put those little stubs at the end again. I'm just like, oh, I got
all right. So this is a decision that's come back to haunt her.
Yes, absolutely. Because I'm just like,
and we are making some corrections. She changed her mind. Like any good designer, you change your mind.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. And actually, I'm not even going to bother redoing that, because I'm just going to duplicate it and then it'll be perfect.
That's true. Look at this. Working smarter every step of the way, people.
I'm gonna throw my guide back on so I know that it's straight and in the right spot. So yeah, that's like fun. And then this, I actually think, and maybe it's just me being weird, but actually I look like I have one of those little L's at the bottom there, too. Yeah. So let me just duplicate this guy again. And okay, let me get rid of this.
Oh yeah, people are excited for the drawing aids. I love it.
Nice.
I'm so glad everyone's on the same page here.
Oh yeah. No, it's great. I love any kind of tool that'll just make my life a little bit easier. Because I'm all about that efficiency life.
Okay, those L's, they look gorgeous now. Amazing.
Gorgeous.
Brilliant decision on your behalf.
Wonderful. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, I'm gonna turn my guides layer off, get a good gander. I mean, like,
yes, I am liking this.
Can be as particular as you want, but I'm just gonna reconnect this section.
Okay.
Just like make a little bit more of a solid connection there. Just getting rid of lumps.
Are those the kinds of things that you look at towards the end? Is more so the spacing and the connections, or what are those like things that at the end that become really important?
Yeah, so it's like I think definitely the quality of the letter form. So it's just like, okay, like if this is supposed to be our final piece, like I shouldn't have like shaggy kind of edges if it's not like an actual design decision.
Right.
And making sure that, the connections are nice and clean. And just making sure that everything is consistent and working harmoniously. Like if it's not an actual decision, then maybe reevaluate and then
be deliberate.
Exactly. Just be deliberate with your choices. So
what would you say is your favorite letter to letter?
That's so funny. My favorite letter to letter, I mean, maybe I'm biased because my name starts with A, but I really like a good
Sanskrit. Love an A. No, I think that's normal. Like I was going to say mine would be an F because my name is Fabiola. So like, yeah, I think, most people would think their first letter.
Yeah.
First
right.
letter of their name. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about it that's just very like,
it's familiar.
It's the beginning of the alphabet. Like it starts everything.
That's true.
Off.
For you, it kicks everything off. I agree.
I think it gives me that kind of vibe. So,
there's some ideas here in the chat that I can't ignore. Some people are suggesting hearts in the O of the U. Ooh. Now, what do you say about that, Alanna? Where's your head at? We have 15 minutes. Okay. Where's your head at with a heart in the O?
You know what? We'll drop it in there because I think it's different if you can see it. we'll just like throw it in there and be like, okay, there's like, is that what you guys mean? Like a little heart and like this little baby O? Because I mean,
in a heart in the O. So yeah, maybe that's what they mean, a baby O, or I don't know if they mean a heart instead of an O.
Oh, interesting. Like a heart. Ooh, interesting.
That's how I interpreted it, but I'm not sure, you know.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
That's how I'm interpreting it. But also some people I think just want a heart inside of the O. So really it's up to you.
You know, I definitely will be adding hearts to this, like around the letters. So
got it.
Definitely feel that. And actually, maybe we could like pop some in now if you want, to sort of see where that might go. But I like where you guys are thinking, because that's definitely also, if it doesn't come to you, I guess, in the beginning, like when you're doing your thumbnail sketch, which is fine. Like some people can get a pretty clear idea of like where their illustrations will go. You can just like throw them in and just like start scattering stuff around and just
the decorative elements.
Exactly. It's like, and you can move stuff around pretty easily too. So it's like, you know, if I don't like it there, I can just, you know, swing it around in a different spot. So that'll actually definitely like help the card feel like more finished. It'll like help unify the theme and, you know, stuff like that. And like also anything to help fill out the composition. I'm always.
Yes, I definitely, I feel at peace with that heart in the bottom. It feels like it finishes that space that the curve is creating.
Exactly.
Alanna, this has been amazing. We have about 5 minutes left of this stream. So tell us what you're going to be working on to wrap up this composition for today.
Okay, so I'm just going to finish up this little heart and then
priorities.
I know, right? With 5 minutes, I won't be able to do the complete, introduction of like, making this pop a little bit more and not have the lettering so flat, but I can introduce this concept pretty quickly, actually, to give people an idea of like, okay, I want this to have like more of like a 3D element to it, so that the lettering, sort of comes to life off the page a little bit.
Is that what we can expect for day 2?
So
for
day 2, you guys are going to want to tune in tomorrow, because tomorrow we are going to start moving around, and I mean motion, animation, e-card goodness. So
my mind is shocked. Tune in tomorrow to find out how she makes this move, all in Adobe Fresco.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So tomorrow we're going to be doing a new card design, a birthday card actually, and we're going to make it move. We're going to introduce lettering, we're going to do animation, because Adobe Fresco has so many lovely motion features as well. So
I haven't even gotten a chance to explore those, and I know that you're going to give me exactly the best tips for using those motion tools in Fresco. I can't wait to tune in. I'll definitely be here. And I really recommend that if you're interested in learning motion graphics, I can't wait for tomorrow. That's going to be incredible.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to see, because I'm definitely not like an animator, anything like that, super duper, advanced or anything. But I think Adobe Fresco's motion capabilities are super approachable for even like complete beginners. So I'll be showing you guys some tips on how to make a little e-card that, has a little bit of movement to it. So
yes, because today this was more for print. This was more, we had it in the 300 DPI setting. We were talking about print and stuff. And this is more of that. And tomorrow it will be more focused on an e-card.
Exactly. So we're getting a little bit more digital. You could send it, in an email. Maybe you could, post on social media.
Get creative. Yeah. All those digital places.
Yes.
And it'll be the same time tomorrow. So if you want to tune in and watch Alanna do that with a whole other design, please join us. Join us on behance.net/Adobe Live, just like today. We'll continue with that. Alanna, tell us where are we at? What's going on here?
So I'm just going to do just like a slight offset. So I've just duplicated my whole group of lettering here and just like put it in a group underneath. And I'm just going to do a little offset here. And
amazing.
I'm just going to like drop in a color really quickly just to give it a little bit more of so you can tell.
Right. And that'll be the last thing I think we have time for today before we have to sign off.
All right.
That looks amazing already. Just that simple contrast with the black and the pink. I'm loving it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll eventually post the final card. So if you're following me anywhere on social media, you'll be able to catch the final design. So no worries. We won't leave you completely on a cliffhanger.
No, we won't. No, you'll definitely see that all around. And I think it's going to be very, very exciting. We'll be back tomorrow with Alanna for part 2 of lettering custom cards at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Make sure you stick around for the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge with Julia Vaca, immediately followed by Bringing Your Illustrations to Life with Michael Fugoso. Design along Michael as he works on a space-themed drawing in Illustrator, imports it into Photoshop to add texture and lighting, and then brings it into Adobe Aero to make it pop. That's 3 imports happening there. So make sure to tune into that. And remember, please remember, you can watch the live streams even when we're offline. Adobe Live is now hosting live streamers on Behance, so stay tuned to check out their creative process. The learning never stops here on Adobe Live. Alanna, this has been amazing. I have learned so much, so many tools, so many tips. What do you have to say for this session?
I mean, I'm just super excited and happy that you guys tuned in with me. It was so much fun to hang out with you, Fabiola, and just like everyone in the chat answering questions. So I'm super pumped for day 2. Yeah.
Yay! Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. Make sure you follow Alanna on social so you get the end of this card, you get to see the end result. And reminder, tune in tomorrow to see her use the motion graphics available in Adobe Fresco, all on iPad. Blow your minds all over again. So much goodness. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this stream today.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Bye.